It's a Dougie.
Do it for the city, do it for the fans. Man. I'm not a dancer. If you follow me on TikTok, I just did the, what's it called? The gritty. Whenever it was announced that he's likely going to be signing with the Clippers once he gets bought out. So if you want to see some brutal white guy dancing, definitely head over to the TikTok. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be a small topic of conversation today. We're gonna get more into trades, do a bit of the draft recap. But before we get into all that, boys, how you doing today? I hear someone's got the sniffles on one of the sides here. So how you feeling, Chris? You holding up all right?
The allergies are just going crazy today. I doubled down on the allergy meds, but they just have not kicked in yet.
True. So, I thought it was maybe more of like you were sad from the news that you heard that Russell Westbrook just opted into his $47 million player option.
No, I don't care about that. I don't care.
Well, I know as a Laker fan, I figured you might.
In affect me. No, I'm a LeBron fan. I just support the guy wherever he goes.
Okay. Well, he's gonna need the support now with no Kyrie and now he's got Russell Westbrook. So, Sivash, how about you, man? How are you feeling over there?
I'm doing good, man. For once, I'm not the one that got the sniffles, so that's a change. And otherwise, we're gonna get to it. I feel all right. I'm happy for you. John Wall to the Clippers. That news came out last night, and you woke up to it. So I believe it will be a good morning for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as good. We were talking about this the other day. It's not as good as 3 years ago when I woke up to news of Kawhi and PG signing, but I think it's a perfect signing for the Clippers. I mean, you might as well get right into it now. Like anybody that thinks John Wall is going there and he's going to be the John Wall of the Wizards, dropping 25 and 9 assists and all that, that's not going to be him. That's not what the Clippers expect him to be. But I would argue since Kawhi and PG got there, the one thing that they've needed the most is a proper starting floor general passing point guard, and they're getting that in John Wall. He doesn't have to be the second best scorer. He doesn't have to be the third best or even the fourth best scorer. He can just go there and, do what he does well and be a great facilitating guard. So,
yeah, and the furthest they made it a few years ago to the conference finals was with a guy like Rondo on the team. So I think that will make a difference for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As you take a sip.
Now I do feel bad. I'll toss it over to Chris here in a second. I do troll you sometimes because secretly I think you do have a bit of love for the Lakers, but I do feel bad for the Lakers because, I talked about this yesterday. Sivash, you saw me tweet about loyalty and how loyalty will get you farther than anything in life, but definitely in basketball. That's why it was good to see Kyrie stay with the Nets. But when we're talking about the chase for John Wall, as small as the chase might have been, I think it was only the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Heat that were involved. The Clippers kind of said early on, as did the Mavs, as did Philly. Miami kind of said it. They were still maybe in talks to get Kyrie, but the Clippers said early on that they weren't really interested in pursuing that. They weren't interested in everything that comes with getting Kyrie, and they're more focused on getting John Wall. However, the other team across the hall was more focused on getting Kyrie. Well, once the Kyrie stuff happens, they circle back and say, okay, John Wall, we're interested in you now. Whereas the Clippers were more focused on John Wall from the beginning. I think inevitably he was going to go to LAC. Has good ties with Paul George and Reggie Jackson as well. But it just kind of shows it's like the Clippers showed more investment in John Wall through the whole process, even when Kyrie was available, whereas a team like the Lakers were kind of like, well, there's the prettier girl over here. I want to focus and run after the prettier girl, and once the prettier girl rejected me, okay, I'll maybe go for this 6 on the side. Chris, what's your thoughts on the John Wall signing for the Los Angeles Clippers?
Yeah, like you said, it's good for you guys. You get another like solid player just to help, like you said, like facilitate that ball, move that ball around, get things going, keep things going, especially if PG or Kawhi isn't on like the floor. and as far as your whole prettier girl thing, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a business, right? Like if you got a guy that you're like, you know what, we want this guy first, and we'll kind of do what we can to get this guy, then we'll entertain other things elsewhere. If it goes south, if it doesn't, it is what it is. We all do it, type of shit. So like, I don't really care if that the Lakers didn't really get Kyrie. Again, at the end of the day, it would have been cool to see them like play, like LeBron and Kyrie play together again. But other than that, it's like
But they got Westbrook. Russ
isn't like he isn't like a fucking bum. Like he had like a shit fucking season, but it's like who doesn't have like a shit season here and there? So it's like it's what it is. Not bad, not bad. So we'll see how everything plays out for your Clips, buddy.
Yeah, what are you chuckling about? What are you chuckling about over there, Siavash?
It's just like a great, like you guys are both saying stuff without saying stuff. I like it, and Toby's just laughing over there. He's like, yep, just nodding away. Listen,
Russ is like we were talking about. Like we were talking about a couple episodes ago, James Harden's a great player. Sure, Russell Westbrook, they're still great players. But are they $47 million good? I don't know about that.
Listen, I was one of the guys that wanted Kyrie to go to the Lakers. I wanted that. I was looking forward to having LeBron and Kyrie back together, more because LeBron hasn't played with a good point guard since Kyrie back in 2017.
Sure.
So I wanted that. I wanted to see AD and Kyrie play together. It would have been great for the league. You said that you wanted to keep the balance in the league, but I think that would be just fine because with those three guys, I don't think they would have been able to get so many good guys off the bench. It would have still just been very star-powered on the starters, and then for the bench, they would have had to really fumble around, try to figure something out. Similar to how the Nets were struggling in the playoffs this year with not so good of role players and the bench. So again, a bit of disappointment not seeing that happen. Kyrie opting in 2 days before the due date. Of course, tomorrow, Wednesday, June 29th, is the due date for the options and the player and team options on contracts. But yeah, I think he just saw the market and he wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I saw a couple funny tweets about it, but we'll leave that off the side. Kyrie got a lot of his time. He got a lot of media attention towards him, and I think he really enjoyed that. So that's good, but I'm glad to see 7 and 11 stay together. That'll be cool, man. I think the Nets, like, again, we didn't see them with Ben Simmons. If Ben Simmons comes back and is a great defender, he can be a facilitator as well. Those three can do some damage in the East. So you get a healthy Joe Harris back. Cam Thomas is gonna get better. You got Seth Curry there still. So there's Nick Claxton. I heard, Siavash, I don't know if you were listening to the Hoop Collective recently, but it sounds like Nick Claxton is going to be sticking with the Nets. There was some speculation he might be moving, so it looks like a lot of the guys are kind of running it back in Brooklyn, so that'll be exciting.
Good 6 seed. He'll be all right.
Yeah. So also this past week we had the draft, the NBA draft. So I'd like to know, were you guys watching it? If you weren't, what highlights did you see? What caught your eye? What was kind of your takeaways? Anything that stood out to you? I don't think there was really many trades in terms of players. It was more so draft pick movement and stuff. But what were your takeaways from the draft?
I will get started with that. I think some of the takeaways was definitely going back to your draft and the trades point. Every draft goes like this. Before the draft, we're expecting some big trade to happen. We're waiting for something, but nobody wants to make a trade on the draft. As you can see, they just trade away some first-round picks, some young guy who they're unsure about, and then they call it a day. In case of some of the more events during the draft, I think the whole Orlando Magic keeping their pick close to their chest was really interesting. The whole time the talks were going for Jabari Smith, but they kind of just flipped it on everybody and went for Paolo, which I don't think anybody outside of I don't think anybody inside of the top three was too upset about it, because the order was going to always be the same. Those three guys were always going to go. So it wasn't too much of a change for those top three. And then the fourth and on, that was going to go the way it was going to go.
And Paolo is the most NBA ready player of those three. Like, Paolo will jump in. He'll probably get you 20 and 9. And 9 rebounds and probably maybe like 2 or 3 assists. So he is the most ready NBA player out of the three of them. I would say Jabari Smith probably has the highest floor, but Chet Holmgren has the highest ceiling. Chet Holmgren just basically based on his size and his skill level. He can be unreal, but there's going to always be questions about his frame, his size. Is he able to put on weight, and how does that affect him against other bigs in the NBA? Chris, what were your thoughts? What were your takeaways from the NBA draft this past week?
Honestly, man, like I didn't have a chance to like watch it, so I just like peeped in like every now and again, watching like an online tracker and just essentially just following like you guys like talking about it. Pretty much like C said, like I wasn't expecting like anything like crazy. I was like, you know what, there might be like maybe like 1-2 upset like here in like the first like 3-4 guys, depending on who's going where. And yeah, like I didn't expect like Paolo to go first. I expect him to go probably like top 3, something like there, but like definitely like not first. So that like reading that, I was like, oh, okay, it's a little shocking, but like, you know what, like said Magic, well, they're like they're probably like rebuilding and shit like that right now, right? All this crap.
I would say they've collected a good group of young guys there. They're definitely maybe a year or two away from kind of making that play-in push.
Exactly. So like I think it'll be good for them just to kind of see. And then we were already talking about like Chet, playing alongside like SGA and Josh Giddey and all that stuff. So that squad, like, I wasn't too surprised that OKC took them. And I'm just like excited to get them going. But I'm also excited to see, like you said, like how Chet is going to hold up when he's playing against like these big NBA bigs, like a real big, and it's just body, like, bro, you're there. Like I just want to see how he's gonna kind of handle that. But I think he's skillful enough to like, it might affect him like a few games here and there, like maybe a first like little bit of the season. But I think he'll adjust. So
he's also a very aggressive. Even though his size is very small, he's also a very aggressive player. I honestly think they'll probably put him at the 4. He's just a great ball handler and a great shooter, so I see them, eventually they'll need to get a center in there. They did draft both Jalen Williams, but they drafted Jalen Williams out of Arkansas, and he plays the center. He's kind of a good facilitating big, but I see him at the 4 long term. See you,
I was just going to say, I'm betting the points over for any game that they play against the Nuggets and the Sixers for Embiid and Jokic. I think that both of those guys are going to eat in the paint with both of the names that he mentioned that they drafted. I think they're not going to be going back to what Patrick Beverly said back a few months ago. He was saying how for some players you go to bed early. I don't think Embiid and Jokic are going to go to bed early for their OKC games.
Yeah. My clear winner of the draft was actually a team I talked about a couple months ago. The team that I'm kind of watching for next year, Detroit. I think Detroit won the draft easily. Not only getting Ivy from Purdue at 5 to pair alongside Cade, they also got Jalen Duren out of Memphis in a very weird set of circumstances that the Knicks got rid of him. I get it. The Knicks have Mitchell Robinson, but Jalen Duren's a top 10 pick, and they got him outside of the top 10. I think. Listen, the Pistons. Again, I'm not saying that they're gonna be going into the conference finals or even the second round, but I'm doubling down on my statement that they're gonna be competing for that play-in spot next year in the East 100%. I really like them. I'm excited to watch them. So Detroit's my clear winner there for sure.
We're gonna get some of the moves that they could be making in the free agency in a few days.
That is true. Yeah. So why don't we move over to free agency? That's really all we need to talk about with the draft. There's a few other random picks there. I think we each had 1 pick in the draft. The Raptors got Koloko. The Bulls got who'd you guys get again?
Terry, I think it's last name.
Terry. And then the Clippers got Diabate in the early second round. Another French guy, so another guy for Sivash to follow in the league. But
I will say,
let's get into free
let's say this before we go. The Raptors pick, I'm jealous, bro. That guy is looking good. He's already in the gym. There's the Raptors. Again, I do follow a bunch of guys on Raptors Twitter. But this guy is looking solid, and I'm mad that he fell to them at the 33rd pick.
Yeah, he's a very good defensive big.
Mm-hmm.
I think he averaged like just under 3 blocks last year in college, maybe just over 3 blocks. Not going to give you much in terms of offense, but that's okay. You don't need him to do that. Just being a lockdown defender, a big, a rim runner and rim protector. That's a solid pick for them. I don't know. Well, you guys don't really have a lot of centers anyways, but I was going to say I don't know if he'll play that many games for the Raptors, but because you guys don't have center depth, he could. But I wouldn't be surprised if he starts in the G League. But yeah, Koloko's a nice pick for the Raptors in the early second round.
They don't have to rush it.
No, not at all. Yeah, okay, so let's move over to the free agents. Sivash, you want to get it started? You kind of were alluding to the Pistons and what they might be doing, what they might be sniffing around on within this next week. Did you see the recent post about Steve Clifford and his quote?
Yeah. This segment, we're going to do a list of the most interesting off-season free agency moves that we want to see in the coming days and the coming weeks. Of course, the draft just happened and there wasn't any major moves. Of course, we talked about Kyrie and, KD not having anywhere to go anymore. But there's still a lot of moves that we can talk about. And we're going to do it in a draft style, but it's not really a draft. Kind of going in like each having 3 picks of the moves that we want to see. And we think that it's going to be interesting.
Now, let me say this. Let me say this before we just get off the Kyrie thing. The Kyrie thing to the Lakers is not dead, by the way.
Next year.
There's still a glimmer. No, this year. There's still a glimmer of hope. I'm not trusting anybody besides Shams when it comes to Kyrie. It seems pretty apparent that Kyrie and Shams are in the same camp. Apparently Shams was like hanging out with Kyrie yesterday when the news dropped. I don't know. But Woj was like false reporting stuff. He didn't have like a good source or whatever. So anything Kyrie, trust Shams. But he didn't tweet this out, but there seems to be some belief. Again, these are Laker fans, so take it with a grain of salt. But there seems to be some belief that just because he opted in, doesn't mean that Kyrie to the Lakers is completely dead, because there was mutual interest both on Kyrie's side and on the Lakers side. It was more so, again, the assumption is it was more so Kyrie trying to lock down his $36 million instead of taking the $6 million deal, and then either being a dick and kind of making it worse for Brooklyn this year, making them kind of forcing their hand to trade him. I don't know. Again, that's where I kind of get into like, are you really gonna ruin your friendship with KD over this? Like, I don't know. But just want to put that out there. It's not completely dead that Kyrie is not a Laker at the end of the summer. So, okay, move on.
Okay, so we're gonna get started. Again, there's 3 rounds. We're each gonna give our ideas here. This can be very realistic, something that we think and it's been rumored to happen, or something that we want to see happen. But if we go too unrealistic here, I'm gonna we gotta call each other out in this. Like,
Sure.
I'm not gonna.
Sure.
If I come in here and say, hey, I want Kyrie, Bradley Beal, and Embiid to the Lakers for a 2nd round pick, that's not realistic. We're not gonna be doing that.
Well, you would just sound like a Laker fan, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, maybe I would put THT in there. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, of course. You have to, right?
So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna let Tobe go first. I'm gonna go second. I'm gonna let Chris go third here. And yeah, let's get the fun started, guys.
I think the most interesting person to watch over this next 2 weeks period is Bradley Beal. Just opted out of his contract, signing obviously his 5-year Supermax deal. I don't know if he's worth all that, but he's gonna get the bag anyways. I don't know. I think Damian Lillard is more likely to stay with Portland than Beal would be to stay with Washington. There doesn't seem to be any future or any direction of where they want to go. And I've heard Beal to a few different spots. I've heard him to Atlanta, which would be interesting. I don't know a backcourt of Trae Young and Beal. I don't know how that would work. But who I would like to see him go to is the Miami Heat. I think Beal as a secondary scorer, or some nights a primary scorer with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. You're moving out Tyler Herro, probably Duncan Robinson, so 2 young guys. I think the Miami Heat would like to get rid of Kyle Lowry, just in terms of his contract, and he's just not who they wanted in comparison to what he was for the past 5 years. He's definitely not there anymore. And maybe, a couple picks as well. So I would love to see Bradley Beal join up with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo in South Beach, Florida.
Now, I will say this. We can have picks where you talk about a player and you're talking about that destination, and we can still have that same player. For example, if Chris has an idea for Bradley Beal, we can go with that route as well. So.
Sure. So you have an ideal for Bradley Beal. Is that what you're alluding to?
Don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it. I got a fun one for you guys, but we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
Again, with what you said though, I do like that idea. I think that is a really realistic trade to happen, especially for the Heat, who have Tyler Herro and these picks, and also some salary that they can dump. Of course, Duncan Robinson, who's been getting paid $18 million a year to podcast, and some other guys on there. So yes, I do like that idea.
I wish we could sign that deal. I wish we could sign that.
You got to
deal.
go
Who
to
do we need to
practice, and you got to pretend like you're playing in the conference finals. I don't know. It's a lot.
I guess so, yeah.
It's a lot. I'm not really looking
I will
forward to
say, like, I do expect Miami to do something. Like, I placed the futures bet on them to win the championship this coming year. I do expect them to do something, whether it's him or that guy out in Utah, which maybe will get brought up. I don't know, but even Kyrie, when he was talked about, I thought maybe that would be a destination. But Chris, I'll let you go next.
I think it's me.
I'm already here. Well,
I think it's me.
C. I was gonna say, C didn't even go.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were lobbing up to Chris to go next. My bad. Go
And
ahead.
with my next pick, I am going with Donovan Mitchell to the Heat.
Donovan Mitchell
As we
to
just
the
talked
Heat.
about
Okay.
it, I just want to get the Heat stuff out the way. Donovan Mitchell, same stuff that's going on with Bradley Beal. I think Donovan Mitchell has a great chance at going to the Heat with a package around Tyler Herro, again, Duncan Robinson, and a bunch of picks that will go to Utah. Again, Utah doesn't seem like they're going to make a move anytime soon. Of course, they do have the All-Star weekend in Utah this year, and we've seen it before. These teams don't want to give up their teams until that goes by. But if I was them, I would definitely want to move away from Donovan Mitchell and see what I can do outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, I just reflecting on our last episode, like we had talked about what we want to see happen or what we think is going to happen by the next time we record, and my prediction was Donovan Mitchell or one of those guys being traded. You just brought it up, Sivaj. The longer this goes on, especially now that the draft has happened, I'm really wondering if they're going to try to run it back again with those two. I wouldn't be surprised now that the draft is over, because I thought for sure it was going to happen during the draft. And now it's like, okay, it still hasn't happened, and I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you guys have heard any rumors or anything, like of any speculation, like you hear stuff about the Kyrie, you hear stuff about Brad Beal, you hear stuff about, a couple other guys out there. I haven't heard anything about either Rudy or Donovan Mitchell. So I wouldn't be surprised if nothing happens, which is mind-boggling.
I think it would be
Chris, what are your
stupid if
thoughts
nothing
about
happened.
Donovan Mitchell, going to the Heat, and maybe even make a comment on Bradley Beal potentially going to the Heat? Do you think either one of those guys are going to go there?
Man, well, like you've been saying, like I think it'd be more likely for like Mitchell to go there if anything does happen with them. You're saying Mitchell wants to be a big market guy. Miami's like a big market team. It's nice out there. Where would you rather be? Utah or Miami?
Yeah.
Difficult decision.
Yeah, as a young guy.
Very difficult decision at the end of the day. Like he's probably torn.
He's like, a lot of people have made this comparison since he got into the league. I know he's got a good relationship with this guy. He's a Dwayne Wade like protege.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is Dwayne Wade 2.0 type thing. I think Dwayne Wade's a better passer, but that's a whole other conversation. But you know what I mean? And Dwayne Wade was in Miami, so yeah, exactly. So it's there, but yeah, go ahead.
It's there, but I could definitely see him going there because like you saw all the issues that him and Rudy had, the organization had. with them, and the only player at the end of the day who's, like, you know, has seemed to be loyal again, like you've touched on, is Rudy. You know, they could keep Mitchell, and then for whatever reason, whenever Mitchell's done, Mitchell will be like, yeah, fuck you guys, I'm gone anyways. Like, I'm out. Just leave.
Yeah.
And they're just left with nothing. Especially if they trade away Rudy. So,
yeah.
As much as, like, you know, I'd love to see Rudy probably go somewhere else, maybe get some, like, more touches, maybe more, like, a little more respect, a little more chemistry. I'd rather see, like, Donovan go. And I think Miami would be, like, a nice spot for him.
I will say this. Donovan Mitchell shared yesterday or the day before, whenever it was Rudy Gobert's birthday. He shared the Utah Jazz post that said "Happy Birthday, Rudy." So I think, you know, if you had to take it from me, I say the relationship is in a great place.
Yeah, but they also said that they also said that when Rudy touched the mics during the start of COVID, Donovan Mitchell was pissed at him in the off season, or like in between then and the bubble. Then they repaired it during the bubble. They got closer during the bubble, and then over this past like 2 years, it's gotten worse. And it's just like, you know, going back to the analogies that we always try to make on this pod. I don't know why this has become our thing, but like, it's like you break up and you get back together. You break up and you get, bro. At some point, the relationship is done. Like, just break up with the girl for good. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just seems like this weird relationship between the two of them, and it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, your turn. What trade would you like to see? What move would you like to see this?
Or signing.
Or signing, eh? Well, I've been hearing like the rumor mill there with the Hawks being pretty interested in Mr. Ayton, and I think I would like love to see Ayton play alongside Trey if they can keep that going. You know, this guy, obviously, Ayton, he wants to get paid. The Hawks can more than likely pay the guy. So he's probably not going to end up giving up on his team like he fucking did with the Phoenix, which was super shit to see. And then again, you know, like, you're going to have a dominant guy in Ayton. You're going to have that dominant guy in, like, Trey. And I think the two of them would just play really well off, like, one another.
Good pick and roll.
I don't know what, like, I don't know what, like, Atlanta would need to give up to, like, make that happen, but I'm sure just some pieces, like, here and there.
Well, I assume, Siavash, would it not start with John Collins? Like, that seems to be the piece that's floating around the Atlanta camp. That's where I thought you were going with, Chris, when you started with Atlanta. Because that's all I've heard. I've heard John Collins
too.
I've heard him to the Raptors. I've heard him to the Wizards. I've heard him to
him to the Kings.
Of course, the Lakers.
Like,
Kings as well.
Everywhere. Yeah. Kings was like.
So I would assume, Siavash, would you not agree that if Ayton's going to Atlanta, John Collins is likely going the other way?
Oh no. This is so interesting. I never thought about this before. Because I would like to think that they might actually start a conversation with Clint Capella. They're going to need somebody to replace that center position, and I think Clint does a fine job.
Yeah, I forgot Clint Capella was there.
I think Clint does let's say if you're putting Ayton on top of every board that you got, I would say Clint is probably doing about 75 to 80% of what Ayton's going to be doing while earning $18 million a year. So then after that, you look at, we need some value. We can't just give up this guy like that. Would they go with John Collins, or would they want to go with somebody like Kevin Herter or Bogdanovich, or these guys that are coming off not a bad season, but they just might need a better leader like the Chris Pauls?
You're right. It would be Capella. I don't know why I totally blanked. It would have to be one of those guys because they got Okongwu and they got Capella there. You're not going to have those three guys. Okongwu could definitely be a starter.
And the Suns would want to come back. They would want a center to come back in that deal, because if they don't, they're not going to have a center. JaVale McGee might come back.
I would see the package as Capella. I like Bogdanovich in that trade. Maybe one more piece and a first round pick. Maybe I value, good bigs in the league very highly because there's not a lot of them. So tell me if I'm thinking maybe the package is too big. But for a young guy, Ayton's 22, 23 years old. That's right on the timeline with Trey, and then it gets to a really interesting conversation. Am I moving John Collins still? Like, I think the problem with John Collins in Atlanta is he doesn't get his touches. He seems to be standing around a lot more, where he's a guy that can shoot. He's not going to get those shooting opportunities ever with Trey, because Trae Young's obviously going to be shooting the ball. I would still probably look to move him, and maybe you get another guy in the backcourt there. Maybe, going back to the guy that I mentioned off the start, maybe Bradley Beal goes to Atlanta for a package with John Collins, and you move Clint Capella and stuff to Phoenix for Ayton.
I mean,
that'd be crazy.
That
Atlanta
would be
go through a huge overhaul.
That would be a huge deal, because you would have to think about John Collins' trade value. I don't think they would have to give every pick in the world, and the Wizards will have to be ready to move on from Beal, right? And this is one thing I will say before I let you finish with Beal is the reason I don't think John Collins would be included as part of that deal with Ayton and Capella. I think that would be too much for Ayton. When you look at the whole Ayton situation, right now the Suns would rather sign him. They would rather match an offer if there's not a good deal, but they won't be. Everybody knows that this is not a great relationship right now. So they're looking to see what they can do, and I don't think that offer, if the Suns are like, hey, give us Capella and John Collins, I think the deal will be off right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Okay, so I'll go on to mine now, and I'm going to actually stay with John Collins.
Ooh.
I don't think that this is going to happen. I'm speaking about my own team, the Los Angeles Clippers. I don't think this is going to happen. I've heard Collins rumors to the Clippers, but I think the Clippers like where they are with their depth. There's also a strong belief that the Clippers are getting Nerlens Noel for the traded player exception, so they don't have to give anything to the Knicks, and they get a first-round pick. But if Collins was to go to Atlanta, I would probably see it, involving Marcus Morris and a guy like Brandon Boston. I wouldn't mind Collins for the Clippers. Again, he's a guy that can get more shots probably in the Clipper system than he could in Atlanta. Again, I just don't know if the Clippers would entertain that, because again, they probably have one of the best depth team in the league.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that now since the old John Wall news, and everybody's talking about how the Clippers might have too many guys or 3 too many guys, and they need to get rid of them. I disagree. I think the team and the role...
Really?
I think everybody is in a perfect role. Guys like Reggie Jackson, guys like Marcus Morris, and even Batum. Like,
it's Luke Kennard that interests me, because he's like... He could be your 7th guy. There was also times in the playoffs when he wasn't playing, because he's very good at one thing. He's literally the best 3-point shooter in the league by percentages. But it's like he's making $15 million to be your 11th guy some nights. Mm-hmm. It's like, could you get somebody that would maybe fit a bigger role or responsibility for that money? So if you do, maybe it's Kennard and Morris and something like a pick or something for John Collins. I don't know.
Yeah, I think at the 2 position they might need some help, especially with Kennard coming off the bench. But the reason I think this team is right now perfect, and I don't think there are too many guys right now, is because of the history of their injuries. Like, let's say Kawhi or PG go down for, let's say, 20, 30 games in the middle of the season. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood, yeah.
Who are you going to put on that roster, right? Like, I think we got to look at this roster as, I think every guy, as you mentioned last season, it was a next man up kind of mindset. I think they're going to keep the same mindset. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody is going to complain about their role. I mean, Luke Kennard, if he thinks that he's going to have a bigger role, I would get rid of him right away, because it's like, dude, you're going to be on a championship contending team. Why would you want to go to Atlanta and play next to Trae Young and put up 28 game and never make it to conference finals?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know.
It's
Chris,
kind of like it's like taking less money. It's like that. You know, the Chris Bosh going to Miami, the Kevin Love going to Cleveland type thing. Take less, win a championship type thing.
Yeah.
Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, just like C said, like it's understandable. Like why would you want to take less and do less? Like, you know, take less and do a little bit, or sorry, take more, do more, but then overall you're achieving a little less.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's in the grand scheme of things, all that would do would just show that, like, you know, especially for a player like Luke, it's like, what's more important to you? Like, you know, winning a chip, being there for your boys, or like getting your bag.
Sure, and realistically, I don't know how many years he has left. I think it's probably like 2 or 3 more years. But it's like, say they do go to the Western Conference Finals again, or they go to the NBA Finals, or, you know, heaven forbid they actually win a championship. Like, that's gonna do more for him in the long run because he was a part of an actual championship team, like you said, Siavash.
it's a heaven forbid.
What are you laughing about?
I'm just laughing.
Well, that's
at you
I say heaven forbid.
No.
because...
I'm not laughing. I'm not saying that they can't win a championship. I just laugh because I'm just like, I then picture you with them winning a championship, just you being absolutely going fucking ballistic.
I would be on the Raptors path. I would be like talking about it all the time. Like, I mean, you got to, right? If you've never won a championship before, you want to celebrate that success.
Exactly.
It gets back to a poll I voted in a couple weeks ago. It's like, if the Clippers were to ever win a championship, how long would you talk about it for? And I was like, the year after, and that's it. I'm like, if you start extending it.
I just pray if they do win a championship, whatever team they face, I hope they are 100% healthy and everyone is able to contend. If not, I'm going to have to put asterisks.
This guy,
I don't know.
He's talking from
Clippers
personal
played
experience.
an injured team, and it was.
He's talking about personal experience.
Why are you saying that? You say it.
I'm just mocking you. I'm just mocking you.
I don't say that.
No.
I've never said that the Raptors.
I don't think he said that you said it. He's just saying
not that you said it specifically. I'm just saying that's like
he's saying from experience.
Like, because KD was like hurt and.
I don't really care. I'll tell him to shut the fuck up. We won.
I will say this. If the Clippers win the championship, I'm going to be asking for some personal time off for 3 weeks about this podcast. Like, I'm not coming in with Tobe talking about the Clippers winning, bro.
Yeah.
Y'all are lucky. Y'all are lucky we didn't record last summer, this time last year, because it would have been.
That's why we didn't record.
Yeah, of course. No, I even said, just to finish this off with the Clippers, I even said on the video I created, someone was like, yeah, you guys are definitely favorites. Like very, very deep team or something like that. I was like, please don't use the F word. I'm like, this team does not respond well when they have expectations put on them. Please don't do that. Like, don't give this team any more pressure on their heads. This organization is the biggest, like, unluckiest franchise in the league. So, moving off that, sticking with the trades, Steve Ash, it's your pick. What trade, what acquisition do you want to see this off?
I'm going to come in with the heat a little bit here. I feel like, we've had some interesting ones, but I'm going to go kind of off the board here. I'm thinking about a 3-team trade.
Does it involve one of our teams?
No.
Okay, I'm getting there eventually.
Yeah.
Not my team.
So the Kings get Matisse Thybulle and Tobias Harris.
Shout out.
The Wizards get multiple picks and the Sixers get Bradley Beal. I like this silence. Everybody just befuddled by this. They're just sitting there thinking. I'm looking for that home run, baby. Get Bradley Beal, James Harden, and then be together. And of course, for Bradley Beal, would have to be a sign and trade because, of course, he's going to be opting out of his deal here. But if you're the Wizards,
are they okay?
What were you going to say?
Are they okay under salary? Oh yeah, I guess because they're getting rid of Tobias Harris.
That's a big salary dump up, and you still got Tyrese Maxey on his rookie deal. You still got some other pieces around that you can build and keep this team going. And I think, again, if you're the Sixers, you got to do something now. We talked about it the last few times. Harden, we don't know what the timeline is. Beal and the Wizards. If I'm the Wizards, I would not be offering him the max. I think they should have traded him last February or this February, just last season. I think they should have just got rid of him, but they still got him. And if you get him for the Supermax, you're already lost. This would be the exact same situation as a John Wall Supermax. The moment he signs it, he's won and he doesn't need to do anything. And you have lost as a team.
I saw you tweet that, by the way, but yeah.
I agree with that. Like, it's because this is the thing. Let's be honest here. Chris, you, for example, where do you have Bradley Beal in, let's say, ranking of the players? Do you have him top 25?
No way.
You don't have him top 25 though?
No.
I think if you got
I don't know. Because I'm like listing off players like quick in my head, and I'm like, I'm quick to get up to like.
He's not the same player he was 2 years ago.
Hey, I'm just asking a question. Top 25? I don't know. Right? Chris is playing.
I don't know about top 25.
Because you got to also think about young players, right?
Yeah.
Like, who would you rather? Now, try not to be biased, okay? I'm going to run through a couple options. Because the first person that came to my mind, try not to be biased. Who would you rather right now, Scotty Barnes or Bradley Beal?
Scotty Barnes.
Forget about the systems for everything. Just forget player versus player. Who would you rather?
I am saying Scotty Barnes. We got the Raptors fan there. He can have his opinion.
I'm also saying Scotty Barnes. That's what I mean. We can talk about the KDs, the Giannis. We know all that. Kawhi, Paul George. Like, we know all that. Zach Levine. DeMar DeRozan or Bradley Beal?
I'm taking DeMar.
That's actually a very interesting one.
That one's tough, actually, for me. That's tough.
But I would say maybe 35-40.
That's where you rank Bradley Beal?
35 players. Yeah.
That's
I bet you I can give you.
Yeah, I was putting Bradley
players.
Beal in the 30s. I don't know exactly where in the 30s, but he is.
Maybe not 40. That's a bit extra, but I bet you I can give you 30 players better than Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, he wasn't crossing the 30 or the 40 threshold. Actually, I don't think he's even going like higher than like 38.
I'd take Evan Mobley over Bradley Beal.
And that's what I mean. With the younger guys like Scotty Barnes, like Evan Mobley, you got that potential where, first of all, their contract is not even anywhere close to Bradley Beal's. They don't have that pedigree. But also, you just don't know what Evan Mobley's going to be. Everybody says this guy's the next KG. Scotty Barnes, he just had an incredible season just playing, and he's still figuring it out. We don't know what he's going to be like as a scorer. We don't know what we have with Scotty Barnes. So I wouldn't want Bradley Beal over Scotty Barnes either.
I'm going to say something.
Say it.
This is probably recency bias, so feel free to call me out. But in terms of a player and what they do, completion of a player, because Beal is not that defensive player that he was 4 years ago.
I think I know what you're going to say, and I was going to say it 5 minutes ago.
I would take Andrew Wiggins over Bradley Beal.
Okay, no, that's crazy. That's crazy.
No, I would.
Nah, you're bugging out now. Andrew Wiggins is not a top 50 player in the league right now. I like Andrew Wiggins. He's done great.
I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he's a higher in ranking, but if I had the option between the two of them, I'm probably going to take Wiggins. And again, that's probably a recency bias, but like just in terms of everything he does both sides of the court.
That's insane.
I could if I put him in the role that Bradley Beal has, Andrew Wiggins could give me 28 and 3 a game. And then probably like a steal and a half, a block and a half a game.
Chris, say something, man. I feel like I'm the only one that thinks this is crazy.
Silence.
Again, that's recency bias. I understand that, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge that. But like,
I am not coming to your defense with this Andrew Wiggins stuff because I've voiced my opinion on Andrew Wiggins before. Oh, C's. Yeah, I voiced my little opinion before, and this man threw me under the fucking bus with the bias and gave him only fucking little short points about it, and then had me looking like an idiot on Twitter. So no, you know what? No.
No, man, this is insane. This is insane. No way, I'm letting you guys get this off, man. Like Andrew Wiggins
I think Bradley Beal. I think he ranks higher. I think Bradley Beal ranks higher than Wiggins. But if you ask me straight up, pick one player with everything involved. We're talking about contract. We're talking about his age, like everything involved. I'm taking Wiggins.
This is insane. Like, bro, Bradley Beal's about to turn 29. When you talk about putting Andrew Wiggins in the same position as Bradley Beal, that's what he was in Minnesota. And sure, he was putting up 22.
Wiggins is a better defender.
I'm sure there's so many better defenders than Bradley Beal, but Bradley Beal was just averaging 32 points. Like, I'm not saying
2 years ago.
Just a year ago. Not this season that just passed. The one
not
before.
Last season.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so 2 years ago.
Well,
yeah,
fair.
that's what I mean. 2 years.
Well, it was 2021 technically, right? Yeah, it was 2020.
2020, 2021. Yeah,
it was shortened season. It was shortened season.
2023. Yeah.
No, listen, man. All I'm saying is, again, I like Bradley Beal. I just don't think he should get that contract. That $50 million is a lot. That's a lot of money for a guy.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't know, and even if, let's say, you sign him and you keep him, where is this franchise going? You guys don't have a. If that's your piece, he's not going to be your first option going to the final. Let's be honest here. And with Russell Westbrook, with their best team, they were the 8th seed after making the play. So with all that said, I would try to get rid of him again. With my trade, I think the Sixers are going to try to make a home run. But I'm telling you right now, the Sixers are not trading Tobias Harris and Matisse Thybulle for Andrew Wiggins. But they're going to do it for Bradley Beal.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Okay, Chris, on to your pick. Another acquisition, another trade, another signing. What do you want to see in the league? Now, he came in with some spice. He came in with some heavy duty. We got into a good debate about Bradley Beal's ranking. What do you got?
Yeah. No, again, like I was saying before, talking about Bradley Beal, like I'd really have to think, really think where I'd place Bradley Beal. Because again, like I can say for certain I don't think he's a top 25 player. And then again, with these, like, it's tough too with young talent. Because especially, they had like a few good seasons here and there. Yeah, that could also, just be us projecting and seeing like, oh, we think they'll be great for years to come, but like, we don't know. But no, just because again, like I haven't really had like too many like solid trade ideas or seeing what I needed, or what I wanted to see from other teams. So just kind of fishing around, seeing like what are some, people are talking about potential trades like here and there. And I'm just like, like there's a couple interesting ones and there's some others. Because, I know you've been talking about OG Mel and OG being on that trading block and potentially going places here and there. And then I'm seeing one where somebody has, kind of did like a mock trade. Now the Pacers get OG Kem Birch, and then the Raptors receive Miles Turner and Chris Duarte. I think that's how you spell his last name, right? Duarte. See? Yeah. And I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's your pick?
Because again, like...
Listen, man, I know you're a big fan of Miles. I don't think he fits with the Raptors.
No. And that's what I'm saying. I was like, man, like, I like...
He's not as good defensive as people seem to think.
And that's the thing.
Just to clarify, say the trade again. So it's OG for Chris Duarte and Miles Turner?
And OG and Kem Birch.
Okay, say your thoughts.
I don't love this. I don't love this trade.
The Raptors, you don't love it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Just because it's tough. Because again, like big OG guy, and OG is probably one of the best like young like 2-way players like right now in the fucking like OG is like sick. And as Tobias was just saying, like there are some concerns there with Miles Turner and stuff like that. And I know our biggest need for a long time was to get a center, a good, nice, reliable center. But then I don't know if... I was super heavy on Miles earlier. I really was. I really was. But I don't know if I am anymore, like with this trade.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me say this right now.
Say it right now.
If the Pacers make that trade, Larry Bird is going to walk into the office and shoot that GM, bro. Larry Bird is going to fucking murder that guy. You got to give up Chris Duarte.
The Raptors win that trade.
Yeah, you would give up Chris Duarte, who's a young guy, of course Canadian, but young guy, and then Miles Turner, who's, of course, doesn't have the greatest value, for OG who doesn't fit their timeline. They're a young team. They're going to be rebuilding. I think Pacers would be crazy to make that trade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How old is OG? Like what? 23?
Oh no, he's like 25 or something. No, that 20. If he's 23, that's a
24.
Yeah.
20. Yeah, I think he's 20. He might be 25 or 26 actually.
Let me see.
I think he might
As
be
we're searching it again, with all I said, the Pacers would not be able to, should not make that trade just so because of that, that they're rebuilding. It would just not make sense for them.
He's 20. Yeah, he's 24.
Okay.
24.
He's about to be 25 in a month. And he's from Kingdom. He's from United Kingdom, mate.
I have a trade that involves OG Anunoby. And I don't know how it fits with the Raptors. I like the fit for my speculation on this one, my desire for this one started with how OG fits on this team. There's a piece that I think should be moved, is inevitably moved because he didn't play at all last season. I would like a package, a trade involving OG to the Cavaliers and Colin Sexton being returned. Something around there. I'm interested in that because I just like the pause. I like the length that Cleveland has. I think he fits well there as the 3. They have Isaac Okoro there, but they don't really have. So you imagine a starting lineup of Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, OG Anunoby, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen, and I think that makes them extremely competitive. Cleveland saw how good they were last year. I think adding OG again, that fits with their defensive mindset with their wings and their big and Jared Allen. Again, I think the Raptors would get more, just because of the uncertainty around Colin Sexton, but it wouldn't be a lot more. But I would be interested in that, especially I think the Raptors wouldn't hate getting another guard in there that could actually be a starter.
Yeah, that's a really
especially
interesting
if they do want to go out and get a center. Colin Sexton, no, he needs to get a contract, right? He doesn't have a contract. Never mind. But yeah, I would like a swap like that. I would like to see OG in Cleveland. I think the package starts with Colin Sexton. I'm just not sure how it works out.
That's fascinating right there, more so because of the fit on both teams. I think right now, if you were to project the Raptors starting lineup, you would have OG at the 2, which I think with Fred VanVleet handling the ball, I think that might be a little bit difficult for that to facilitate. But if you bring Colin Sexton, and I'm sure there will be some other parts as part of the package, I think that's fascinating. I think that would be, again, OG is the clear better guy in this situation. If, again, the rumors are true that OG is not happy with his fit and you have to move on from him, that would be a good package. But if not, you want to keep that guy for as long as you can. He's still a great defender and can still get a 20-point game in any situation possible.
And Colin Sexton is 23. His birthday was in January, so he's a year younger, so it's not like there's a big discrepancy there. But, the Raptors are, I wouldn't say they're on a youth movement, but they kind of have both young and they have, guys like Fred VanVleet and Pascal there, so he could still, they don't become less competitive. That's what makes it work for both teams, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, this fits your situation more, this fits your situation more. I don't know why. I really like OG in Cleveland. I think it would be nice. A 6'7" wing, filling that 3 spot. That's kind of the one spot that they really kind of need to sort out. Again, he's a guy, like you said, if he were to start the Raptors right now, he would probably start at the 2. Okay, you want to swap him with Karis LeVert. You want to put OG at the 2 for some games, or some time during the game, you want to go big and have OG at the 2, that could work. I don't know, I just like it.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And that was honestly something that came up within the last 15 minutes. I just kind of thought, that would be cool. So I was trying to think I do think OG gets moved. I'm not sure, I know, some people are uncertain about if the rumors are true, but there's always where there's smoke, there's fire type thing. So, and the rumors have stayed persistent. So, I don't think the Raptors are losing if they make that trade or if they keep OG. But as a Raptors fan, Chris, what are your thoughts on that? And potentially, if they made that trade, having Colin Sexton in your lineup, young bull, got that dog,
young bull guy, young. At the end of the day, it's like looking at like their kind of roster and who they've got. Like I don't think that would be like terrible. Again, like obviously I'd be sad to see like OG go because again, like I said, like great defensive player, great offensive player, things like that.
He's one of my favorite young players in the league for sure.
But at the end of the day, if like the guy's unhappy and stuff like that, then it's like move the guy, get him somewhere where he's going to be happy and hopefully get something in return. And Sexton's not a bad return, like you said. He's a younger guy, kind of fits with the some of these younger guys here on the team because Gary Trent's pretty young himself. Scotty's only 20. Fred's like, I don't want to say he's up there, but Fred's like 27.
Your like older guys are again older. 27, like
exactly, like old heads. Or like I think the oldest guy on the team was Dragic, and now I think it's like Thaddeus Young. Yeah. Probably Thaddeus Young and Boucher are like the two oldest guys on the squad.
Mm-hmm. And I think Boucher's like 28. Like he's my age.
No, Boucher's like 29. He's 29. I think he's in 30 this year. I think. Or maybe
just
just
30, bro. Your life's over when you're 30. It's nuts.
Basically, you may as well just fucking kill yourself. Just kidding.
Jesus.
I'm just kidding. Anybody struggling
this year,
out
that's
there?
crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
I know. I know. You're talking to a ghost right now, basically. So okay, yeah. So he's 29. He just turned 29. Just turned 29 in January. So
one more year.
Well, even still. One more year, yeah. One more year. This is his last year of happiness, fulfillment. Right?
Yeah, so might as well get rid of him now. So maybe
for our listeners, Chris is 30 years old. That's what we're making fun of. Chris has already gone through his adolescence, and he's at a point where he's an old man. He goes to bed early and goes to chiropractors and talks about how his back's been hurting and all that. So,
it's true. It's very true.
It's sad. It's sad. That's what it is.
It is sad, really.
Okay, Sivash, do you have any other free agent signings, acquisitions, trades that you want to see happen this offseason? There's a few more options out there. There's a few more guys out there that might be moved.
Yep. As my third pick on my list, I am, again, coming in. I don't think this one's as spicy. We've heard about this one before. But I think it's fascinating. And my pick for that is a trade between the Lakers and the Hornets that will send Russell Westbrook to the Hornets for Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier. Now, before we started the podcast,
they want him.
Before we started the podcast, news came out that Russell Westbrook surprisingly has accepted his $47 million player exception. Mm-hmm. And at this point, with Kyrie out the door and John Wall out the door, and the Rockets probably not going to take that Russell Westbrook salary, the Lakers have been just sitting there without anything to do with Russell Westbrook. The one team that has always
left
liked
alone
them,
at the prom.
The one team that's always liked them during this whole situation is Michael Jordan, who's a Jordan brand owner, who has Russell Westbrook under him, and he's just trying to make some money over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to make some money.
I don't know, man. I think the only way that this gets, I don't know. The only reason it wants to be done is because I trade my problem for your problem in terms of salary with Gordon Hayward and Russell Westbrook.
I mean, Russ is on expiry.
I love the marriage. I love the marriage between LeBron, AD, and Russ. So I just want to see that go at it one more time.
Guy, Clippers hater, Clippers fan right there. He just hates it.
I just hate the Lakers. That's all. Yeah, I don't know. I really, you know what, man? I don't see Russ moving. That's not even on some hate shit. I really just don't see Russ moving. No, the money is just too hard to work with. Very few options in the league to trade him for, and then it's also just, unfortunately, who Russ is. I don't know if I'm not saying this about him because I know he's your guy, but it's similar to the Kyrie thing. It's like sometimes he might make $30 million, but he costs a lot more than $30 million, right? There's issues that come with a guy like Russell Westbrook just based off the past, right? There's issues that come with a guy like Kyrie based off the past. So
I'm going to disagree with you right there.
It just makes it hard to trade.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you right there. No, because
James Harden as well.
It's different situations, I think. I think Kyrie, of course, the off-the-court stuff does kind of create a bit of a confusion for anybody that wants it. Even like before him opting in, I was going to say like the whole negotiation, if he was to opt out between him and the Nets, would have been very difficult. It would, I would compare it to my dating life. It would be one side is looking for a short, non-guaranteed deal, while the other side is looking for a long, guaranteed deal, and they never got to that medium.
Now, which side are you?
Don't worry about it. No, I would have probably been on that side. But listen, it's at the end of the day, Kyrie has a lot of off-the-court stuff, where Russell Westbrook and James Harden are just older. That's not this defect on them where it makes them like this player that nobody wants to touch. Of course, the salary is an issue, but I still think if you put Russ in a situation outside of this Lakers with guys around him, similar to how he was in Washington, I think he can still be a solid, impactful player.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't disagree with that, but for $47 million, I'm not touching that.
It is an expiring
back
contract.
To the conversation that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. It goes back to different from even this guy that I've mentioned. It goes back to the conversation we had a couple weeks ago, where Mr. Chris Bennett was saying that he would give James Harden the max. I'm not touching James Harden for 47. I don't think they're shopping him. But if Philly called me and was like, "Hey, do you want James Harden for 47?" No, I don't. Why? He's not worth $47 million. He's not worth a max contract. No way. Russ isn't asking for a max. He's just trying to get off this deal and probably get to a good situation. But I just don't see him being moved at all.
Because if Harden declines, he's open to signing 5 years with someone? Potentially
4 years.
5 years.
Well, he would sign a
theory.
5 year with 4 year with anybody, 5 year with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. So maybe he won't. Maybe this guy will take a pay cut. Maybe he'll say, "Hey, I'll do what's good for the team."
I think he will. I generally will laugh at
first.
That, but I do
you
think,
couldn't even finish that without laughing.
No, I do think he's going to take a 3-year deal. I don't think he's going to just accept this and next year look for some other deal. I think he's going to, similar to what Chris Paul did last year, he's going to just decline the more money, but go for a longer deal with maybe just a little bit less salary.
Which is more money in the longer term, but yeah.
Just more guaranteed money, right?
Less per year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, do you have another option here, another trade?
I don't really got anything here. I was reading like a little article. Yeah. When I was gonna touch on Hayward, but you literally just did that. I'm like, oh,
Scooped it up.
Cool beans.
Now I know you were talking before about Miles Bridges of the Charlotte Hornets. Speaking of the Charlotte Hornets going to Detroit.
Pink Lemonade.
I think that was
Chris.
Was that C? I don't think that was me.
No, so you were mentioning, Chris, that you were thinking about Miles Bridges having Pink Lemonade is the reason that he doesn't get an offer from the Hornets, and he's thinking about going to the Pistons. Didn't he also post the thing about him going to the Pistons, Miles Bridges? Chris was telling us about that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What?
Pick up
Chris,
the
we're
hands,
trying to help
bro.
you out here,
Pick
brother,
up
but
the
you're not
hands.
helping yourself.
Help me out by just talking about it. Don't fucking
No, you talk about it.
just talk about it. I had no idea about that. Honestly. No
Okay,
idea.
so what do you think about Miles Bridges? You know, he's a young guy as well.
And the
very young
Pistons.
guy.
It seems pretty much inevitable going to the Pistons.
Mhm.
He took, for as little petty as it is, he took Pistons forward out of his Instagram bio, and he made an Instagram post, kind of saluting to LaMelo Ball, basically saying, "See you later, bro." Steve Clifford.
Piston, or you mean like
recently-
Charlotte's like out of this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Took
he
Charlotte's out of-
Charlotte forward.
Yeah.
He Steve Clifford just got hired there, and Steve Clifford came out with a quote basically saying if Miles Bridges wants to be a rapper, you can go to Detroit. And Miles Bridges commented under it with a bunch of laughing faces. So it does seem pretty much inevitable. I think him going to Detroit is a perfect pairing because he's from Michigan. He's from Detroit, so it does work well. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, Detroit is a great young team right now. They're trying to build something. Where is it? I was literally just reading something in regards to Detroit because it's Detroit's kind of been on the fucking, the decline. But they do want to come in pretty aggressive this season, especially signing some of that young talent that they've signed, and they want to become very competitive in, the next coming years. And signing a guy like Miles Bridges, I think, would definitely give them that too. But I'm also reading too that the Pacers are kind of interested in Miles Bridges as well. So I don't know where would you guys think would be a better fit for this guy? Potentially going to a team like Detroit or going to a team like the Pacers.
I'll leave it to Toe for this one.
Well, I'll say this, and it's not fair for me to say this. I'll acknowledge that, and you guys can speak on it afterwards. But just like what we were talking about with guys like James Harden and Kyrie, especially at a young age, I'm concerned about things happening off the court. I don't want to bring in a distraction. This is your job. This is your professional responsibility. And I think Steve, actually, you were talking about it a couple episodes ago. They're allowed to have a life off the court. Yeah, they are, but not when you're doing something illegal and posting about it on social media. That's just idiocy.
It was a pink lemonade, bro. It was a pink lemonade.
That's it. Okay.
It's summertime. Wendy's pink lemonade.
You should have just said some Sprite. I didn't know pink lemonade was pink. That's me.
It was pink lemonade. He said it was pink lemonade.
He said it was pink lemonade.
He said it was pink lemonade.
Okay. I'm sure he did. But then why is he posting it in it with why has he got a zip and a double cup with it as well?
Everybody always got a double.
Listen, you got to put out an image. You can't be holding a Wendy's cup looking soft on the streets. You got to put out an image hey man, I got the lean, but you got the lemonade and it's got the sugar, so you're good.
Sure, I don't need that. I need a guy in the gym at 5 a.m. I don't give a fuck about.
How do you know he's not in the gym at 5 a.m.? He's definitely at the gym at 5 a.m.
He's drinking lean till 3.
Pink lemonade, bro.
Hey, they said it's pink lemonade. We can't confirm or deny that what was in that cup.
I don't know. So again, I think Detroit is I don't know. Then I'm speaking about it. I'm I don't know. I think Detroit is the best option for him because it is home, and especially for marketing for Detroit. But again, does him being in Detroit now open it up to him being a little bit more comfortable doing more shit off the court? I love Miles Bridges. I think he's a great player. But again, I don't know. I don't know what the Pacers package would be. I would assume, maybe it would be Miles Turner coming back. Maybe Brogdon's in that package, and you run a backcourt of LaMelo and Brogdon.
Also Westbrook.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm not really sure. But what are your thoughts? Where do you think he would fit better, Steve Ash?
One thing you just said, and I didn't think about it, is Miles Bridges on a restricted free agency? Because you said, because you said the Pacers will come back, and I guess the Pacers package will be a better deal, but I would want him with the Pistons. You have said, and we have a clip on our YouTube page about you talking about how the Pistons are going to be a play-in team next year, and I think with Cade, Miles Bridges, if they can get, Miles Bridges, and if they can get someone else at the center position, they're going to be a great team that can actually be competitive. This is one thing I will push back about. I don't think the issue is Miles Bridges. I think the issue is the city of Charlotte. We know that place. It might be the sunken place, bro. Look at PJ Washington. Look at LaMelo Ball. These people, you don't know what's going on with that team.
LaMelo's hanging out with Tiana Trump. PJ Washington got Brittany Renner.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was at the start of the year. And Miles Bridges is
Chris is shout out to him
on his Instagram.
Yeah, shout out to this guy.
Yeah.
In the sloppy.
We don't know who Tiana Trump is. I don't know who that
is. Donald's niece.
That's exactly. Yeah, the president's niece. That's why we're proud of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with Detroit, again, I don't want to say high, and then you guys think that I'm talking about them being a 3 seed. I don't think that at all. But I'm very interested to watch them next year. I probably will watch a lot of their games. And going off of, I'll go on to my turn. Listen, there's also rumors about DeAndre Ayton going there. Like, if they get DeAndre Ayton, I don't think that I think it's either Bridges or Ayton. I don't think they get both of them. But just the ability to have Caden Ivey in the backcourt, you got a guy like Sadiq Bey there. You got you got Isaiah Stewart there. Like, you bring in Ayton or you bring in Bridges. Like they're nice, man. Like they're a young, hungry, competitive team. If I'm Detroit, I would rather have Ayton though. And that's just based on talent.
And didn't Detroit just pick up Kemba too? Or they're trying to pick up Kemba?
They will like actually. That's really good that you brought that up, Chris. They did, but he'll be a buyout.
Okay.
So in that big kerfuffle that was the Knicks just being really, you know what, being on par with the Knicks actually with what they usually do at the draft. They traded their picks and then they traded Kemba, and it was just a really weird situation. I don't know really what they were thinking, but Kemba went to the Pistons, so they'll buy him out. And similar to the John Wall situation, he'll be able to sign with a team, which I guess we can transfer over to, unless you wanted to make some comments, Steve Ash, about the Ayton to the Pistons.
That was something that I had on my board as well. I think it is really interesting, but again, going back to what we were talking about with Ayton to the Hawks, which Chris brought up and was a really good idea. Something's got to go back because he's a restricted free agent. They're not going to just let him go for nothing. And I'm just wondering, what would the Pistons be able to offer? Of course, the young guy, the center, Durant, will be something that I'm sure that Phoenix is going to be asking for, as well as some other pieces of picks. So it's going to be difficult.
For sure. Yeah, I think if you're getting that center back, but then it's like I'm trying to think about what would be on par with what the Suns are doing. If Grant was still there, that would obviously be a piece that would be moving, but he went to Portland. I don't know. I would like Ayton in there. I think that would be nice, but I'm not sure what would go back. I just honestly just don't know their depth chart that well. I can only tell you probably 7 guys on their team. Okay, let's talk about Kemba. So we just saw John Wall go to the Clippers. There's also talks speaking about another potential buyout. I don't even know where he is. I think he's in Houston too. Where the hell is Dennis Schroeder right now?
Houston.
Is he in Houston?
Yeah. I think that was
his.
About him.
I think he's a free agent.
Okay, well, there was talks about maybe Dennis Schroeder heading back to LA, going to the Lakers. I don't know. Where do you guys see? Yeah, I know. Where do you guys see Kemba going? If Kemba has the ability to sign anywhere, is there a certain team that sticks out in your mind that needs a point guard that he might go to? Obviously, I don't think Kemba's washed or anything. He's definitely not the guy that he was in Charlotte, but he's kind of been moved around the past couple of years. Didn't really work that well in Boston, but he was an A+ teammate. He tried it in New York. I think there was just too much of a log jam with the guards there. They're trying to find minutes, and if you're not a Tibbs guy, you're not going to get minutes. Chris, do you have a team in mind, since you brought up Kemba, that maybe needs a guard that is going to compete for a championship that Kemba might fit well in?
Maybe the Bulls want,
Don't do this.
I don't. Just kidding.
I was just about to open up the choir for the Lakers. I was about to start singing Lakers. Like, come on, man. That's the LeBron's. That's just LeBron's music right there. Bring in a guy who has been washed, similar to how he brought in Darren Williams and D Rose and all these other guys. D Rose before he made his comeback, of course, but it's just bringing a guy who's been washed, pretend take him to the finals. But we will see.
Yeah, no, it's just 'cause I'm looking at a thing here. I'm trying to think who Kemba could fit well with.
The Bucks would be interesting.
You would think that it would be.
That's tough.
That team came to mind, Siabash.
The
The Bucks
Bucks?
came to mind.
Might be
Yeah.
interesting.
Because who's their point guard right now?
Drew.
Yeah, okay.
Which it would be like he'd obviously be like that 6-man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a toss up, man. I mean, when you even look at
It's
the
tough.
West, like the Mavs might be a good option. The Jazz, Nuggets.
Yeah.
These are all teams that could
What
use a
about
backup.
Miami?
I wouldn't.
What
No.
about Miami Heat?
Miami, I
No
don't
way.
know.
No.
I don't think they need a point guard, really.
Yeah, they don't.
Well, they don't want Kyle Lowry, so
Just because I want him
Kemba's a
doesn't
bet.
mean, I don't know.
That's it.
I don't know.
No, that's
but
tough.
if he's coming there at a bet minimum, they would start Kemba over Kyle.
What about Minnesota?
No way.
Send him to Minnesota.
No, wait,
Get rid
Yes,
of
they would. Yes, they
Bring
would.
D'Lo out.
wait, Chris. Hold
Kyle
up,
Lowry's
hold up,
on his
hold up.
last knee. He has one knee.
So does Kemba.
Did you watch him the last half?
Did you watch Kemba in the regular season? Kemba didn't get
No,
benched because he
actually,
was.
to be honest with
But that's what I mean, bro. If you ask anybody who watched the Celtics 2 seasons ago, who watched the Knicks just last season, they weren't upset that Kemba was gone. They just knew that this guy's knees has been gone. He's not the same guy that he was in Charlotte. And he's just, if you got him for a catch and shoot off the bench guy, you're good. But it's still, he's a defensive liability and he's not going to be able to be a solid point guard. Kyle
Sure,
Lowry,
okay.
I would rather have Kyle Lowry every single day of the season than Kemba.
I don't know about that. But okay, so if I'm looking at teams for him to fit as a catch and shoot off the bench, I think the Bucks might be the best option.
Lakers can be an option as well, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lakers definitely could
Yeah.
be. What about your... Actually, no, never mind. Never mind. You just got fucking John Wall.
Oh, nah.
No, we're
Oh,
good.
so
We
that's
got
spilled.
Reggie and John.
That's spilled. Yeah.
Yeah, like
What?
I don't know. I think
Because looking
I
at
don't
this
think
free-
there's as many teams.
There's
as I
not
thought
too
there
many,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the end
Yeah.
of that. It's literally, there's not that many options. He would have to be a guy. He's not
Yeah.
going to be a starter on any of the competing teams. He can go to the Wizards
No.
and be like an Isaiah Thomas kind of position, trying to make his comeback. God bless your soul, Chris. But
Thank you.
at the end of the day, I just think there's a small list of teams who he can be an off the bench guy for catch and shoot, and that's it. He's not going to be a starter.
Would the Warriors look at him?
I don't think so. Jordan Poole.
Why would the Warriors take him?
An off the bench guy.
I don't think they would.
I don't think so, man.
Because they got to bring
I
back
think they've got
their
like enough
guys.
guards.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say I think they've got like enough guards to do that.
And in case of
I
salary,
think adding
they can't.
Yeah.
But if he signs a vet minimum,
What about
like $1 million.
Phoenix? What about the Suns?
It just,
I looked at that, but I don't know.
they will have two
I
washed
would say
short
campaign.
point guards.
I would
Watch.
say campaign.
I'm kidding. I
Um,
love CP.
Okay,
I don't know.
there's another guy that we haven't discussed yet. And this is someone that definitely exploded this past season, especially in the last half. He performed pretty well in the playoffs. We just talked about two organizations that have been linked to him for some time. One of the organizations just hired his dad as an assistant coach.
Oh.
Jalen Brunson, what's going on with him? Is he going to go back to the Mavs? Is he going to go to the Knicks? Is another team going to throw a bag at him? What's up? Had the Pistons not drafted Ivy, I would have probably said the Pistons would go after him, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week, right? When Chris was bringing up his dad being hired as an assistant with the Knicks. Right now, from what I hear, nobody knows. Because, yes, he has been comfortable with the Mavs. Yes, he could get more money with the Mavs. At the same time, we don't know what his mind state is. What if he wants to have a bigger role, a starting position with the Knicks? Of course, his dad being there and everything. It's something that I don't think anybody knows, but I would say those are the only two options. Even the Pistons,
Yeah.
I don't think they should have gone for him, even if they didn't get Ivy. But yeah. Chris?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like I said, his options are super limited. I think with where he's gonna go now. You know, and again, I think it's gonna come down to if this guy wants to continue his role here in Dallas and make however much he's gonna make, over like because what he's up for a 4-year extension or something like that, maybe like that.
4 or 5, I think.
He could sign 5
or
for
5 with
Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so the Knicks could, because I'm reading something here, the Dallas could retain him for a 4-year deal with 85 to 88 million, and then the Knicks could probably offer him closer to 100 for 4 if he went to the Knicks. But
Well,
if he
the Knicks
did want,
Go
no, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
The Knicks are gearing up for something though. They've moved a lot of money.
Gearing up for what?
The reason that they moved those pick, that 11th pick, the speculation is so that they wouldn't have had to give a draftee $10 million. So they moved off that because they had the 11th pick. They are I think I just mentioned at the start. It's assumed that Nerlens Noel, who makes $9 million, will be traded. Nerlens Noel and a first-round pick will be traded to the Clippers for their TPE. So the Clippers just have to give up a second to again move off it. Then they would, speculation about them moving up Evan Fournier. So there's assumption that they were either pursuing Kyrie or going to throw the bag at Jalen Brunson. So again, I saw you laugh, Sivash. They are gearing up for something. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. And this is where I want to drive it probably to the last guy before we close it off here.
Wait.
We talked about the Clippers.
Before you do it, no. We got to talk about what you just said. We're not going to get by that because, listen, the Knicks gearing up for Jalen Brunson is the most Knicks thing to do. They just gave away their 11th
I know,
pick
it's hilarious,
for
right?
a bunch of nothings. Those picks that they got back are first rounders, but they're from Denver and Milwaukee. So, again,
they're in the 20s, yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to be anything. They gave away an 11th pick, and I think this is a deep draft. So for them to do that for Jalen Brunson,
it is.
And no disrespect, Jalen Brunson is not even a top 50 player in the league. That's insane to me.
God, no.
So
and he's
that's why I laughed.
I like height. He's very small. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't agree with it. I think it's a stupid decision, and I think so does the whole NBA world. But when has the Knicks ever cared about what anybody else
it's insanity
decides to do? They had Phil Jackson sleeping in the bleachers for 5 years while they wasted them. Carmelo's prime. But again, as I was saying, we talked about the Raptors.
Don't do it.
We touched on the Clippers, and I would be remiss to not talk about the Chicago Bulls. Chris,
Exactly.
There are some questions around Mr. Zach Levine, longtime Chicago Bull, whether he's going to be resigning, whether he's going to be going to Portland, whether he's going to be going to God knows where. If he goes to free agency, just to kind of take a sniff, sometimes guys like to be pampered. They like to, see what's out there. They like to, have the attention put on them. If Zach Levine goes to free agency, I would say he's probably the most desired free agent.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Do the Knicks look at him with all this money? Or who looks at him?
I don't know, man.
See, that's just dying over there because he's just. I know you're not a Knicks fan too. My disdain towards the Lakers, I feel like you have towards the Knicks. Bing bong.
Mm-hmm.
No, I love the Knicks. I love the Knicks. Go ahead.
Yeah, Knicks are great. Honestly, they're not bad. They're a great franchise.
No, they're good to laugh at. That's about it.
They make stupid decisions every now and again. Every now and again, it's like every fucking season.
Yeah.
But no, looking at like some of the possible, because you mentioned the Lakers were interested, the Blazers, also seeing the Mavericks and the Hawks are also kind of fishing around for this guy too. I don't know how well he would fit with like the Hawks. I don't know.
I don't like that. Yeah.
Maybe the Mavs would be nice to see him play alongside Luka. That'd be good. But then again, I don't know what the Mavs would be giving up. But honestly, at the end of the day, like, I don't think the guy's going anywhere.
Thank you.
I don't think he is. I truly think he is staying because I know the GM has made statements saying like they're willing to do whatever it takes to keep this guy. So I don't know. Man.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't either. I want Zach Levine to stay there. I like, obviously we talked about it off the top. I like loyalty. And I think Zach's like, I don't think he's a guy that really cares to chase all that. But this is his first time that he's probably going to be the most desired player in the NBA in terms of free agency. So again, I want him to stay. It sounds like you want him to stay, Chris. Steve Ash, obviously, I know you want him to stay. But what do you think happens? Do you think he goes to free agency, tests it out, and then comes back, or like what? And if he does go somewhere else, what teams do you think maybe he aligns with the most?
Well,
you know what?
Go ahead.
I'd say why not go to free agency? Why not test it out?
He doesn't have a choice.
Test it out.
He's going to free agency because that's the path that it's in, and like he doesn't have a player option. So he's going to go to free agency now. Sure. Does he want to meet with other teams? Then yeah, that's a whole different conversation. All the rumors are pointing to him coming back to the Bulls. He's told the other players on the team, hey, listen, my first choice is the Bulls. And I will say this right now, as I look at my own camera, I will shave my beard if he leaves the Bulls. Clean shaven. I haven't done it over a year almost. I am going to shave my beard if he leaves the Bulls. This is how confident I am.
If he leaves the Bulls, then what we will do is, I guess, even though we normally take a little summer break, we will have a special edition episode.
We're not live shaving my beard,
bro. No, you're live shaving your beard for us. We want to see you don't have to do the whole thing. We just want to see the first cut. And then then you can do the rest afterwards. You can go to a barber.
We should shave his. We should shave.
No, I don't trust you guys with that because you're gonna just like take.
We'll get no. We'll just stick with the beard. We like the flow. We'll leave the flow alone. But man, we could see a sick little handlebar.
Sure,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm that confident that my guy stays.
Maybe you know what? We'll be nice. We wouldn't even say, "Hey, you have to shave the whole beard." We'll just let you rock a handlebar, and you say, "You just rock this."
I'm not doing that, bro.
For a little, for like a week, and you're good.
No, I think he's staying as well. So I think your beard is safe.
That confident.
But it is a little sketchy, like. To have your guy enter free agency, it is sketchy. Even if you feel confident, it is sketchy because you never know.
Talk about it. Kawhi was in free agency for about 20 days last year. And he's still signed with the Clippers. I don't think, again, like everybody was like, well, what is he going to do? But he's still signed with the Clippers. He didn't even meet with other teams, but he was in free agency.
Yeah, I was a little nervous, I guess. Yeah, I was nervous.
Yeah.
And you're always going to be nervous, especially when it's your guy, all right?
Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked you last episode. So on Friday is July 1st. That's when free agency starts, I believe. Wednesday's the last day for people to do their opt-ins and whatnot, opt-outs. This time next week when we record, Chris, give me one trade, give me one signing that you think will have happened in the NBA.
Ooh. One trading, one signing. Shit, that's tough, bro. For the end of the week?
Yeah, by this time next week, by the time we record. So free agency is Friday. It'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 4 days.
Yeah. Pass it off to Seed. Let me stew on this. This is tough.
Yeah.
What you got?
I want to take an easy one here. So I am going to go with DeAndre Ayton re-signing.
Think he's going to resign?
Just going to take that.
Really?
I'm going to take that.
I don't think he's resigning.
I don't think so.
But Sarver hates spending money.
Actually, I'm going to take it back because Sarver is not going to just offer it. He's going to match it. So I'm going to take that back.
Yeah.
It's not going to, it might not happen within the first few days, but I still would be confident that it would happen in that week. But just to take it back, I'll just take Miles Bridges signing with the Pistons.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think anything big is going to happen. Like I think the Jalen Brunson thing might go a bit longer. Like I don't think by the time we're recording next week, I don't even think the Ayton thing will go. I'm not even sure what the Bridges thing will go. I think those bigger fish kind of tend to take a bit longer. I wouldn't be surprised if Gordon Hayward is dealt.
The Lakers?
I think Gordon Hayward?
Surprise. I don't know. I don't know where.
Let's go.
I think, listen, we didn't talk about it, but he's on the timeline, and I'm just thinking about it right now. If they can get out of Gordon Hayward's contract, if they need to move Terry Rozier as well, maybe they go after DeAndre Ayton. Maybe the Hornets go after DeAndre Ayton. They need a big. That's one thing that they've been looking for. They did just get Mark Williams from Duke. He's a center, so maybe not now that I'm thinking about it. But if they want to be competitive, I wouldn't be surprised if they go after Ayton. But I think Gordon Hayward, he might be moved by the time we record next. Chris?
Even though I know you said these larger fish may need time to fry, you know what? I think everything going on with Miles Bridges, all that stuff, I think a lot of us maybe just potentially theatrics and just him having a fucking... just putting on a little show for the people then. I think
the Kyrie special.
Yeah, I think doing the Kyrie special. I think he's gonna stay. I think he's gonna resign with Charlotte, stay in Charlotte.
Wow.
I think that'll come to light. Yeah.
Wow. I'm actually gonna pull Sevash. I'm gonna take my prediction off the board, and I'm gonna say homegrown. I'm gonna say that the Clippers make a move for a center, and that's either gonna be Nerlens Noel, which I've talked about a couple times, which would be the best option because you don't give up any of your depth, or something I've heard.
Nicholas
maybe they go
Claxton.
after Rashawn Holmes of the Sacramento Kings.
Rashawn.
I've heard Luke for Rashawn Holmes a couple times on Sacramento Kings Twitter. So they need shooting. They had terrible shooting last year. That could be an option.
And before we finish it off, one person we didn't talk about is your boy Dejante Murray. I think there might be something happening with him.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not.
I know he's taking to Twitter and stuff, but it's mostly just like, putting the popcorn emojis and stuff on it, and he's just feeding all that stuff. But I don't think this guy's going nowhere. I think he knows.
Yeah, I've heard the rumors about him going to Atlanta. I don't know how that works. Then do you have Trey like off ball? Like how does that work? It doesn't make sense to me. Tell you what, I would move. I would trade a few pieces to get Dejante Murray out the Clippers. I love that kid. Anyways, I'll wrap it up there, and we will catch you guys in the next episode next week, when hopefully we got a bit more NBA action. Peace.
Peace.